The different platforms, they have a different format that is acceptable, and that is what is going to get you more reach. It's always better to learn the skills yourself first, because अगर आप outsource भी करोगे, so the other person, whether they're doing it right or not, how would you be able to determine that? But I think you just need to figure out what works for you, keep on experimenting, और अपना content आप उसी हिसाब से बनाएं. That should work in your favor.
What are your tips to people who are working and they have to take time out to create? Because anybody feels like आज एक camera ले लिया, iPhone भी ले लिया, and I can create content. That's not it, right? There is a lot which goes behind, like you mentioned. How would you help somebody or guide somebody कि boss काम भी कर रहे हो और content भी create कर रहे हो? How do you balance both, and how do you get your processes more effective in creation of the content?
Okay, so like I mentioned, that discipline is very important. It also requires time management. So for me, how I normally create content is once I'm home after work, I dedicate like 1 hour or 2 hours for creating content. And it can be a very time consuming process. So you just need to have that discipline. It's very important. For people who think they don't stand a chance against Mr. Beast or Nas Daily, I would just say that consistency is important, and the quality of your content is also important. A lot of research is required. So, for example, when you are posting your content on YouTube or any other social media platform, check the formats that would generally be accepted by the algorithm, because the different platforms, they have a different format that is acceptable, and that is what is going to get you more reach. So research is also something that's really important. And when I started content creation, believe me, I did not know how to use any video editing tool, but then slowly and gradually I observed different formats that people were using, and I added my unique touch to it. That's how I grew.
So आपने अभी 2-3 चीजें बोली हैं जो which is very interesting, and I want to double click on each one of them. So one is research. लेकिन रिसर्च करने के लिए आइडिया होना चाहिए कि बॉस मैं ये करूंगी. एज एन एग्जांपल, यू आर अ फूडी एंड यू सेड ओके आई विल डू फूड, बट आज आप खाली फूड नहीं कर रहे हो, आप ट्रैवल भी कर रहे हो. आई जस्ट सॉ योर रीसेंट इंस्टाग्राम पोस्ट, यू आर डूइंग सम ट्रैवल, यू आर ब्रिंगिंग पीपल टुगेदर टू गो ऑन अ ट्रैवल एक्सपेडिशन. सो आइडियाज कहाँ से आते हैं? तो बिकॉज आइडियाज नहीं आएंगे तो रिसर्च नहीं कर पाओगे आप, और कोई भी नहीं कर पाएगा. तो ये आइडियाज कहाँ से आते हैं आपको?
I have a group of very close friends. First, what I do is that whatever ideas that I get in my mind, I make a note of that. So that's the first step. After that, I have my cousins, I have my siblings, and I have a group of close friends. Depending on who has what level of interest in a particular subject, it's always good to consult the people that you know. And, two minds are better than one. I always believe in that. And it's not necessary that all your ideas will be executed. I currently have a list of maybe 50 to 100 ideas that I would like to execute, but not all of them materialize. But it's always good to have that note with you.
So, but ideas and all of that, but they are based on broad themes. जैसा food हो गया एक theme as an example, or an area of expertise. But it also can be limiting as an example, right? आप कितनी restaurants, like unhealthy भी हो जाएगा, right? कितनी बार बाहर खाओगे? You have to take care of your health as well. So you've also not just focused on food, right? You have travel and you have other aspects coming in together. तो ये जो multiple ideas होती है, and I also do that, right? I also have variety of things which I'm doing. I'm not just focused on one area, not to just get myself limited to it. ये concentric circles या ये overlapping areas या ये distinct ideas, how do you identify? Like, did you start with one area? I believe you started with food, and then slowly you added other dimensions to it. But what is your advice? When should the dimension be added and not be added?
To be honest, I started my food and travel simultaneously, because at that point of time, when my colleagues and my close friends, they were pushing me to get into content creation, I was like, okay, I have an upcoming trip to Sri Lanka. Let me go there, take my vacation, give it a thought. I'll come back and I'll see what has to be done.
Okay.
So, I loved clicking photos of food, and I kind of simultaneously started both. So it's something that I already had clear in my head about what I want to do, which can be a struggle for a lot of people, but that's generally my kind of decision making. I make decisions really fast. So it's important to be absolutely clear in your head about what you want to do and then execute.
But the other dimension is, you said, okay, you have 1 hour when you come back. Now, ideas भी generate करना है, script भी लिखना है या script नहीं लिखना है, but you have to at least structure your idea. Video record करना है, video edit करना है, right? I can tell you, I also get overwhelmed. Now you said you had to learn video editing. You didn't know video editing. So if somebody is starting up, would you recommend कि खुद सब करे कि आउटसोर्स भी करे किसी के साथ, क्योंकि वो काम भी कर रहा है, अगर जो भी I'm just talking about for people who are working, वो आउटसोर्स करे कि खुद ही इंटरनली अपने आप से सब काम करे?
It's always better to learn the skills yourself first, because अगर आप outsource भी करोगे, so the other person, whether they're doing it right or not, how would you be able to determine that? But basic knowledge आपको कम से कम होनी चाहिए. And वो basic knowledge के लिए, I know YouTube is the cheapest way to go about it, where you can watch videos on free, but then a lot of videos have the same repetition, and that wastes your time, especially for a person like me, where time matters a lot, time की किल्लत है मेरे पास, so I need to manage that effectively.
मेरे पास भी है.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to manage your time really effectively. To save time, I would suggest enroll in courses if you want to learn the skill yourself. So recently I have completed my photography course. I even completed photo editing. अब मैं चाहूँ तो मैं 4 पैसे बचाने के लिए I can go and watch a lot of free videos, but then either they're not relevant or there's a lot of repetition. So it's always good to learn the skill yourself, and then eventually you can always outsource. So I've recently started outsourcing my video editing. So I'm working closely with a video editor to save time, because that time that I save from video editing, I can use that to generate ideas or to, maybe create videos or other factors.
Yeah. No, and today technology is also getting so strong and interesting. अगर हम उसके साथ कीप अप करना चाहेंगे, कर सकते हैं. If somebody is taking up content creation as a full-time job, then they can definitely learn and keep up with it, because there are so much happening in technology. और अगर आपके पास टाइम नहीं है, right, तो आप जैसा आउटसोर्स कर रहे हो, जैसा आप कर रहे हो, मैं भी कर रहा हूँ, which really helps to speed up your process and take your mind on things or build your energies on things what you're doing. Now, the other aspect also of creation is, aligning to the audience, and you spoke about algorithms, right? There are 2 aspects to it. I call the double A factor, the audience and the algorithm. भले आपकी audience को अच्छा लगता होगा आपका content, but the algorithm may work against you. Yeah, algorithm is working for you, but because you're trying to work with the algorithm, but the audience is not catching on to it. तो ये एक है ना X and Y axis हो गया है, right? एक तरफ audience है और एक तरफ algorithm है. तो how do you balance both? Because both can work against you, right? Either or. Not at the same time, but either or.
I think you just need to figure out what works for you. Keep on experimenting, because a video that I personally worked on and spent 9 man-hours on did not do as well as a short-form content. So जिस तरह से ट्रेंड्स वगैरह चल रहे हैं, you have to stay up to date on the news, on the updates, और अपना content आप उसी हिसाब से बनाएं. That should work in your favor. And then again, the content popularity is very unpredictable. कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है जो वीडियो आप समझते हैं कि वायरल हो जाएगी, that doesn't go viral. Right? So you just have to keep on experimenting.
I hope you enjoyed this clip from my podcast series called Masters Decoded. The intention of bringing these clips to you is to allow you to understand some key moments of the conversations I've had with my guest. I would recommend and highly encourage you to listen to the entire podcast, which you can find the link to the podcast in the description below. I look forward to you subscribing to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of all the future clips which we keep releasing every week on this channel.